Hi folks. Today you are going to spend 2 weeks working on a much more complicated layout than you did last week. So I'm in Brightspace and I want to show you the description of the assignment. So you'll read all of this, but there's down at the bottom, there are images to download, and there's also text. It's called weeks 3 and 4 text that you will download. And I have specific directions for the 2 weeks too. The first week of this project, you're going to post your week on the Miro board. If you had trouble with the Miro board, just reach out to me. I think what happens is you try to access it and it's going to ask you to ask permission. I'll get that message and I'll grant you permission, then you can get on. They sort of update the program, trying to make you pay for it every semester, and it changes. So communicate with me if you're having trouble accessing Miro. So the first week you're going to put your work on Miro, and you're going to go on and critique at least 3 other students' projects. If somebody has a whole bunch of comments on theirs already and somebody doesn't have any, spread the comments out. So make sure that everybody gets some feedback from one of your peers, okay? So that's the first week. So you're going to go and look at your work, post your work, look at everybody else's work, comment on other people's work, and you will learn. And I'm going to comment on your work too, so you'll all get feedback. My feedback will be in Miro for you. And then the following week, you'll make adjustments based on the feedback that you get from me and your peers, okay? And then all of these images here, you're going to download all of them, and you're going to use all of them except for one of them. I have in here, it says, one of them, option 2. So there's family room and there's family room option 2. So one is more vertical than the other. You'll see in a moment. So what we're going to do, I'm going to open my InDesign file now. So here is my layout. So I have created a grid where I have a 6-column grid in one direction, 4 in the other. So I created these using that text frame options like we did in the last project. And notice how I have used this grid not only to align different pictures, but I've got my text aligned in here as well. And there's different types of text. I have the title, I have this subheading, I've got the nitty-gritty about who wrote the article and who took the photos. And then here's the start of my text. And you might have seen this in a lot of magazines. It's called an initial drop cap, which you can use that or not. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I have different styles for my text too. So I am using different fonts, and you will pick out different fonts that you like. So if I select this, I'm using Arvo, but you can use something different. I liked the way it felt, kind of classic, but kind of modern, which I felt was appropriate for the design of these spaces. They seem traditional, but there's a new quality to them, so I wanted a typeface that felt like that. And then for my body text, I kept it pretty straightforward. I used Adobe Garamond, which is a nice classic one. I've played with italics here. Actually, I'm gonna take out this. That's not in your text anymore. I'm going to add it somewhere else. So we have by and who wrote the article and photos by. And then I'm going to have you add to the bottom the part that says the home, host beautiful, and the date. So sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. So I have this text in these two the same size. This is 10/13. This is 10/13. I may actually, maybe I'm going to pull this in so the text is a little tighter. So notice how this is more space between the lines. The leading here is 13, and when I select this one, I've just made it 12. It's a little tighter. I may also make this a different font that is not a serif font too. I could try mixing serifs and sans serifs. I wouldn't want to use Arvo because it's got too much personality, but Avenir is a nice simple one. But Avenir is kind of, see how it's actually, the letters look very wide. I'm going to, let me see, let me go down to, I think I'm just going to use Arial narrow. No, Arial regular. Arial. And then for Arial, notice how this Arial looks much bigger than this text. So with Arial, I am going to make this 9, and instead of, yeah, I'm going to keep it regular, okay. So this looks a little different. I'm not in love with that. I might change it. But that's what you guys can do. You can start to reassess how things look, and at some point you're going to really feel type and feel the style of type, just like you do with picking furniture and such. So here I have different qualities to my type. I'm using the grid. I'm going to use the W key to hide again and back out. So you can see I have this white space flowing in through here, giving it just this openness in it. But also I tend to have everything sort of hanging together still too. These images on the second spread, notice it can make sort of a snake through here. They wind through. It's got this nice rhythm, and then there's open space at the top. I've aligned things kind of tightly in here. I could also, maybe instead of aligning this at the bottom, I could align it up here, but sometimes it messes with wanting to read over here, so sometimes I bring it down here, separate it. Notice this one, I have it sort of off center here. It's actually, you know, I could move it up here, but sometimes it feels a little tight, so just moving it down, maybe I line it with the top of this, but that might look a little rigid. I think I just liked it here because visually it's actually lining up with the tops of these bookcases. And actually I'm looking at this and I think I want to pull this photo down so these bookcases are aligning a little bit better there. So there's little details that you're looking at throughout. You're looking at how the pictures work with each other, how the text interacts, where this flow is. So I like this. I think you can see my cursor moving around here. I like that it's making that shape. And there's little bits of open space in here. So if I hit the W key, you can see I could have moved my text in here tight along here and put both of these up here. But now if I hit W and I back out, it doesn't have that same rhythm. It feels this is really boxy, and then there's this white empty space there. So I'm going to do Command Z. And you can see how that looks a little more fluid. So that's what you're going to play with. I want you to go back and forth between hitting the W key where you work with that grid, and then you hide that grid and you might be more fluid. So again, if I have it on W, I might feel like, oh, I need to line it up here. But if I hit the W, I realize, no, I want to line it up with this horizontal line within the picture there. Okay, so you can make it fluid. So let's get down to laying out the diagram for the layout for you. So here's my text. I have all this different text, and I am going to go and create File, New Document. I'm going to go to Print, Tabloid. I'm going to make it inches. I'm going to make it horizontal, and I'm going to have facing pages clicked this time. I am going to start with 2 pages, and I am going to start on page number 2. Okay, and so then I am going to, my columns are going to be 1, and I am going to add margins in here that are 0.5 throughout, but then I'm going to make it 0.75 on top and 0.75 on the bottom. You can change yours, but this is a good place to start. And I'm going to say create. So here's my new document. And some of you may have noticed you can go and create columns. And under the layout, you can go and make changes after you've got something set. You can go under here, and I can go to margins and columns, and I can set 6 columns, 0.25 here, and it puts it across the whole page. That's one option, but I was showing you last week to create the text box and drag it across, go up to Object, create text frame options. I'm going to make it 6.25 again here, and I am going to say OK, and then I can copy this and paste it. So essentially it does the same thing, but the big part is I'm going to copy it, paste it again. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and shrink it because I want to have horizontal grid lines too. And so when you use the columns, it just does the vertical ones, but by this way I can change it to have horizontal ones. So I've made that box smaller, and holding down the Shift key while I rotate, I can rotate it. Make sure you always hold down the Shift key before you lift your finger off the mouse, and then I can stretch across here, copy and paste. Okay, now I'm going to go to my text document. Keep your text document open, and I am going to grab House Beautiful August 2024. I'm going to go to my page. I'm going to zoom in down at the bottom, and I am going to create a text box by dragging, and I am going to paste in House Beautiful August 2024, and I do not like Minion. I am going to use Adobe Garamond. You guys can use other fonts. You should have noticed by now the fonts that you have used more often show up. The ones that I just had open in there, the document, are automatically showing up here, which makes it easier. Your favorite fonts are right up there. And this should be quite small. So 10 is there. I could also make it 9 if I want. I could also make House Beautiful. Perhaps I want that to be semi-bold, and maybe I want August to be italic to vary it up a little. You can do whatever you want there. I'm going to zoom out, and I am going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it. You have seen in magazines the way you have on every page number, which we're not going to do yet, and then you have, or in books and stuff, and I'm going to drag this down so it's not touching that text there. And I am going to select that text in there, and up here I am going to make it align on the right. So it aligns right on this side and on the left over here. And I'm going to pull this one down a smidge too. They should ideally be the same height there. So again, to make it flush right, select that text, and you can make it flush right up here in your window, and make sure again that you have Window, Workspace, Essentials, Classic, so you get all these toolbars opening. Okay, so now we're going to start by adding stuff to our page. So I am going to go back to my text, and I am going to select this intro text here. Okay, I'm going to copy. I'm going to go back to, oops. That's all. I don't know what I hit. Sorry, not what I hit there. So I'm going to, one thing I didn't do, I'm going to grab these two boxes, and I am going to lock. I'm going to grab them over here, and I'm going to lock them. If I were to click in the box, it could end up becoming a text box, so I don't want to do that. I am going to drag a box down here and paste that text. So if I zoom in here, you will see I have title, subheading, author, and photographer. You are going to delete those things that are in parentheses there to give you information on how to be using that. So this is the title. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to paste in its own text box, and I am going to make it bigger. So I was using Arvo, which again, you can pick out with anything you want, but I've done all the design thinking already. So let me go back up and get Arvo. And then this is the sub. Oh, you know what? I changed the text on this. Sorry. Your document that you have has the right text. Sorry. Let me make sure. I changed this title to be inspired. A little poppier. Okay. Inspired home instead of that. It was a bad title. It was really long. So this is your June title. And then I have, this is a subtitle. I'm going to copy that, paste in a separate box, and then I can leave these two in their own box. And I'm going to shrink this box up a bit here. It might look a little confusing because I've got all these extra boxes on here. I'm going to take that extra space out. So I've got these different pieces of text, and it's good with this text that's the title intro text to move it and make it be separate text boxes, because it helps you to really make it more fluid. So I have this text here. I am going to go add a picture in here now. So I am going to go to File, Place. I am going to start with my living room. This is so there's two options. This one's taller and this one is square. This one is a little faded and washed out at the top, which I don't like, but I want to show you how you can place text over an image. So I'm going to zoom out here. I am going to click and drag so that it fills up my page here. So I am going to end up cropping it, but what I wanted to do is in this text box, I want to arrange, bring to the front. I thought it was fun. Let me go back to my inspired layout here. I like the way I broke the text on the picture and off of the picture. That's something you can do. You totally do not have to do it. I could have done something like this where it sits right on top of that, for example. Or, this picture I don't like as well as the other one. I could go in here and replace it. File, Place. The other one, the lighting is much better on this image. So I could have used this one and have it feel very, I've changed the layout right away where this inspired home has its own margin here, and I have this image aligned with the text there and at the bottom there. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this. Okay, so back here, if I want to have it go over this image here, I think I cropped it a lot here too. I am going to bring this box all the way over so it goes to here, and so then I can put my handle in there. I've gone to the direct selection tool and I can use these keys to press it to make it larger, and then I can move that hand around to move it around inside that space. Okay, and so if I like that, so the color that I ended up for this text, you can select the text. Say it would have started out black. Mine ended up with the default. So it would have started out black. So I can grab this and I can make it white over top of that. That probably shows up better. And then this home, I can use the eyedropper to grab a color that's in my layout. So that looks this pillow feels sort of blue to me, but when I look at it, when I grab the eyedropper, it doesn't work that way. I might want to grab this warm color that's in that table. So I can play with grabbing colors that are actually in the document, but then maybe I want to enhance that a little bit more. This is RGB. If I go to the hamburger, I can switch it to CMYK, where I feel like it's more fluid for me to add some more working with the primary colors. So I have that. Now I have my subheading here, which I could do in Arvo, or I could do in, go up to the top, and I've got Adobe Garamond, which I've been working with. I might want to make it Adobe Garamond semi-bold italic and make it, say, 24 points. So see this plus sign? That means that I've run out of text there, or what I'm saying is I've run out of box space. It means that there's some text that's missing. So I pull that and that disappears, and I've got all my text showing there. So it's important to make sure you don't see that red plus sign there. Okay, so now I don't want this one hanging out all by itself, so I'm going to pull that over. Again, I don't want hyphens in something like this. So there, I keep moving it, pulling it out, pushing it back. And then here I've got the author and the photographer. So again, I'm going to get these. I might also make these Arial, and then maybe I will make this part italic, or maybe I don't do that and I make their names bold. There's lots of different options. I'll make their names bold. Okay. So you don't want to add too many fonts starting out too. I'm using one font for the title to give it some personality, but then basically I tend to use a font like Adobe Garamond for all the type that's really doing the work. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into my text document. I'm going to zoom in here for you guys to see. And so hi, you might have had an odd pause there for a moment. I was doing some editing my video, not very smoothly. One of the things that I want to show you with this general text here, notice how when I select it all, there's this white space in here. Very often when you get text, there is a literal return in there. And I have taken out those returns, and instead what I have is, if you look at the responsive bar, there is A has the text, and this second with text there's options with the paragraphs. So text is more that particular font, the qualities of the font, and the paragraph symbol is more paragraphs of text. So I want you to notice this little diagram here, and I've got 0.25. What that's doing is it's showing space between the lines. So I'm going to take that out for a moment so it's 0, and I'm going to hit return. Very often what you do is you get text that just has returns, physical returns hidden in between paragraphs. If I select this, this is not actual physical returns in the rest of this text here. I'm going to take this out here again, and I'm going to select this text, and I'm going to make this 0.125. So the file you're going to start with, I have put in this space after, and I've done that because it's a little tighter, a little neater. A full return is too much space, and so what I'm putting in here is a more manageable space, and we'll talk more about this in coming weeks. But so I just want you to know that there's a hard return in there, but not an extra return. It's got this space after instead. Okay, so I am going to grab this text, and I am going to focus on this living room text. I'm going to take it to here. I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to copy bits of text and paste it in there. So if you work that way, a good thing to do, you want to make sure you don't miss all the text. I'm just going to hit a couple X's here. So I am going to go and copy this text, and I've just put those X's in there so I remember where I copied from last time. I'm going to go up into my document. I have my cursor here. I've dragged in the text box. So I'm going to take the T tool and I'm going to drag it in this spot here, and I'm going to now Command V to paste. All right, so notice that there's this plus sign over here, so I can go and click on that plus sign, and it's showing me this text. I'm instead of making that box bigger, I'm going to go and drag it up here, and I am going to fill it within these two columns. I'm going to pull it down in there and let it go. So now what I have with this one, when I was playing with it, so there you can see the plus sign. I opened this and there's no more continuation of text. This text here, see this piece here? That is showing that there's an arrow that's saying there's more text. So this one, you don't see an arrow there, but this one you do. It's telling me I have more text, and if I click on it, it lets me, move that. By doing that, just to show you, I got rid of it. So I'm going to click here, get this little symbol. I am going to click and drag so I fill it. I purposely make sure it goes into these two columns there. And then it's a good idea to make it nice and neat and tidy and not have your boxes be too long. So here I've got my text floating in these two columns. So I have the smaller text is going to go in one column, and then the larger text can go in two columns. So you try to keep the width of your columns consistent to what you're working on. I'm going to go in here and talk to you about how many words you should have for a column. So if I look at this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 is kind of a lot. Generally, you should have between 10 and 13 words per line. So this isn't that much over. I think it's going to work. If I went and I ended up making this text, I selected all and I made it 10.5, which I think might actually look better. It is going to now be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's a little fewer words per line. Now that seems sort of arduous thing that I'm doing, but it really is, you don't want really long lines of text and you don't want little short ones either. This is the comfortable medium. Okay, so now we're going to start. I'm balancing out, working through this adding some text and then also playing with adding images. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to go to File, Place. I'm going to get another image. So I've used the living room and now I'm going to go to the shelves. I've got them in order. They're numbered in order, which is sort of the order that they're mentioned in the text. If you rearrange them, that's okay, but you don't want to, it's sort of good to keep them basically in this arrangement because I've read plenty of articles where the text is all over the place. You look at a picture on another page and it's there. So I just ended up dropping this, but I can go and move this around. So again, here's the blue box which it's floating in. I click on the direct selection tool and there you can see that gold box which is the cropped picture. I'm going to set this in the corner and I'm going to make it larger than 100%. So when I've got my hand in there, it's 100%, and I click this and notice that it's moving them in equal numbers. So you want that to always be the same percentage. If it's not the same percentage, let me see if I can forcefully squish this. See the way it's squished there? It doesn't look right. And if I click the little hand in there, it's 125% tall and 67 point width. So you can just correct that by, this is locked here, this lock symbol. So if I just click this, it automatically will go back to making them the same percentage, but that's only when that's clicked. So you want to always keep that clicked, and I can keep doing this, or I could jump to say 120%, and then I can move it around in here on the page. So I do want to align these images within what I've got going on here. So maybe what I'm going to do is, this feels like it's floating in here, so maybe what I want to do is move this so it aligns here, where, let me talk about bleeding for a moment. This goes all the way off the edge here, so that's a bleed, and this is bleeding off the top and the bottom. So that's a nice thing to do. I'm going to hit W. This might break it up a little bit too. It's kind of interesting. I kind of like that it's got these bands to the design, but also it sort of lacks this continuity and fluid. So it can do both things. So I may want to move this image over here so that I have these sort of bookends, and then my text can be floating in the middle. Or the other option is I am going to hit the W key and I'm going to bring this image in, and maybe I will have it bleed into where the fold is in the magazine, but that I don't have it bleed off the edge all the way. So now this is where my image ends, and it's not landing quite where I want it to be in my grid. So I can go and increase this so that it fits my layout here. And maybe what I decide to do is maybe I'm going to leave it open at the top, but I'm just going to have it bleed off the bottom. And then it's got this interesting scroll work at the bottom. Maybe I want to make sure I see that, and I can, play with the crop. I can also, again, hit the W and look at it and see how I feel about it. And then I can hit the W again and move my text up so it's aligned in this grid. So now this is where my text ended, so I can go back here, grab this text from where I left off, and so you should be reading the text, and so that's the living room. Now I start talking about the office, like architect. I'm reading the text here. I'm gonna crop it. This is the bathroom. I'm gonna include this. I'm gonna include that detail there. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna hit return and hit the X's so I know where I left off again. And so then, oops, wrong layout. Then I can go in here and I can create another text box and go over here and place my text. Again, you will notice that I get this little pink box. So I can take this pink box and bring it down to, there's no second page, and that was intentional actually. So what I had you do in the beginning was just put up one page, and the reason why I had you do one page instead of 2 pages is so that you wouldn't have to keep creating this grid that I have here. So we've already got some stuff here, so now I can take this, and I have these spreads here. I've opened up my pages, and I can go up to the hamburger and I can say duplicate spread, and it creates it again. I'm going to say duplicate spread again. Okay, so now it has given me 3 pages of the same stuff. I do not want to end up repeating any of this text, so I'm going to delete all the stuff on these pages here. I'm going to drag over this and delete that and delete that, but I did this so that I won't have to redraw. Oops, you know what I did that I didn't want to delete? I wanted to keep on here. Okay, sorry, I undid this again. I'm going to go down here, and I am not going to delete everything. I am going to leave on here, right here where I have the thing that said House Beautiful. So I'm using my grids. I'm going to delete this. So you see, part of what you're doing too is managing your text and organizing. Okay, so now I've duplicated my spread 2 more times, so I have the same grid and I have this little bit of text here so that you're not recreating that over and over again. So back to where we were, I have this text. I'm going to tidy that up. I'm going to click on that plus sign. I'm going to go down to the next page, and I'm going to click and drag it to fit in 2 columns. And so here, you see I have this small detail here. I'm going to go look at this text in here. So this says body text. I'm going to go up here, and you are eventually going to go in there and delete these instructions that I've given you where it said body text. I'm going to go back over here, and then I've got this text that says small details. Small details. I am going to go into here and cut this. I'm going to create a new text box down here and paste it. And so then I can make this box smaller, be nice and tidy. So this text gives you instructions. So this is a small detail near the living room photos, and here is also living room photos. So these both refer to the living room. So I am going to delete my text in parentheses. Now this might seem sort of arduous, but this is real life. You get text from people sometimes, and you have to figure out what they mean by it and where it goes. And when you start writing your own text, you're going to be doing the same thing, having different types of text that you need to include. So I have living room in all caps. I'm going to hit return, and it's got this extra space after it, where if I go back here, it's got space 0.125. That actually looks really big, so I'm actually going to take that out. In this case, maybe I leave it at 0.265. Okay, so now I'm going to go back over here again to this one, and I'm going to delete that extra space. I am going to hit return. That's too big a space after, so I'm going to go up here and change that space after. Again, when you've got type, you get two responsive bars that you toggle between the A and the paragraph symbol. And see, here's a hyphen here. I want you to start paying attention to when you have hyphens. You should not have hyphens in titles, and this little bit of text, I don't want you to have a hyphen in either. If you hit Shift Return, let me show you, if I hit Return, it puts that extra space in there. But if I go and I hold down the Shift when I return, it doesn't put that extra space in there. So let me show you this again. If I wanted to cut this text out here, because this is about the kitchen, I'm going to cut this text. I'm going to create a new text box, drag and drop. I'm going to delete this in parentheses here. I'm going to put my cursor in here, hit return after family room. I'm going to grab family room. I'm going to take out that extra, make that space a little bit more. But I don't want to have bad breaks, so I have Miro and Sconce's first dibs. Sofa, custom by Martin and Brockett and Rose Tarlow, blah, blah, blah. That sounds fine. I'm going to, where it says curtains here, I think I'm going to hit Shift Return to make curtains in the shade store be on the same line. And then this fabric, I don't like that being there, so I'm going to hit return there. So with little text, these little bits of text and text where you have your titles here, I don't want you to have any hyphens. If you have hyphens within this paragraph text, that's okay. When you read a magazine, when you read books that's got a lot of text, there will be hyphens, but you should never have hyphens in titles and other more important text, okay? So these look nice and neat. So now I can start to, this is about the kitchen, so maybe I want to start adding a kitchen photograph in here. When you look through the text, you'll see this one is about the bedroom. So maybe I want to put, I might want to go and move some of this. You can start planning it out. Let me show you what I've got here just so you can start to see the whole concept here. So I have the living room is here, and I ended up putting this powder room up here because it's sort of a one off. And then I've got the living room and the living room text here. I put the dining room with the kitchen there. I've got the bedroom on this page, and this is the master bedroom, and this is the office. And that office, actually, this powder room and that office were originally together, but I pulled them apart. You can break this up in different ways, but if you look at the way this is paced, it's a nice, it works pretty well. And I will make this layout is in the presentation that you've got, so you can refer to it there if you want to refer to it again while you're working. So I think I've shown you enough about how to work on the layout. I'm not going to spend time doing the whole layout, but you can see how you work with that. Now another step I want to show you is you are going to be putting all these images in here, and you are going to need to package your file. So I'm going to go up to this one because I've got all the pictures in here. This last page is just, I don't need this last page. This I just put in here for this extra image here for you to see what that image was, but I can delete that page now. If you want to add or delete a page, in the pages, I can hit the page that's highlighted. I can hit the garbage can and get rid of it. Okay, so this is my document. I'm going to go to File and Save. You would be saving it as, and make sure you name it the naming convention, which would say week 3 and your name. I haven't saved this. You want to make sure you do save your file don't leave it as untitled for too long, because if something happens, if you make a mistake, Adobe does recover the files, but if you haven't named it, sometimes it can't recover it as well. So I'm going to say it's week 3 for my last name, and it's I forget what I called it, but you'll look at the constraints. I'll just put layout for now. Okay, and I'm going to save that file. Save. My picture here. Save. Okay, so now that it's saved, I am going to go up to File, Package. I'm going to say Package. I need to figure out where I'm going to put it. So when you first open up Adobe, you might see the smaller version of this window. I like to see everything so I can navigate and know exactly where I'm going to be putting my project. So I expand this arrow here, so then I can click on where I have my classwork for this project, and here I keep everything in folders. So I might make a new folder, and this is week 3, 4, and I will create that folder, and then I can package. Okay, so here I am going to go back to my desktop. Got a lot of things here now. So I just created this new week 3, 4. It saved my file, and in here you will see the document fonts. So the fonts that I used, Arial, Garamond, they are in there. My links, I had just put 2 pictures in here at that point, but you will have all of your pictures in there. You will have an IDML file. That is a earlier version. So if you you may run into a situation where you have updated software on your computer because it's automatically updating the Adobe programs, and you go to the school and it hasn't updated. So you can go to this older file, IDML, and you can open it in an earlier version of the software. Okay, so that's a little resource to have there. This is the one that you're mostly working on, and then here is a PDF. So this is saving, it automatically creates this PDF, so then you can take this PDF that you've created and you can put that up on Miro. When you go into Miro, I'm going to put this on hold for a minute. Okay, so I've just opened Miro. When you go into Miro, you are going to look for your section. So if I zoom in and out, you can see that there's, oops, it's not working now. If I have artboards for all 3 sections of this online class, so you're going to go for your section, and then you're going to look for your name, and you're going to put your file in here. So if I go to place my, I'm forgetting where I do this, I haven't done this well, export this board, sorry. I think I can drag and drop, sorry. If I go and I find my PDF, yeah, drag and drop. So I dragged my file on here. So here it is. What you can do now, see this little symbol here, extract pages. You can extract pages and it will put all of your pages. Now I just have 1 page there, but when you, so you will drag and drop, let me drag and drop my other version. Actually, I didn't package my other version, so I don't have that. So anyway, what you're going to do is you are going to, again, you're going to drag and drop your PDF, and then you can hit extract and it will put down all the different pages, and you will just tidy up your pages so that they're all lined up and you're not overlapping with other people's names. Okay, and then to put comments, you can here's a comment, you can change the color of your comment, and so you can start adding comments on different people's boards. Okay, so I think you're all set. Good luck, and have fun with it. And so, you know, this is a 2-week assignment. So if you're having challenges, you know, do the best you can, put up what you have. You don't have to finish the whole thing in the first week, but you want to make sure you get some good work in there, and you're going to be doing it for 2 weeks, okay? Good luck.